More threats to life. Abortion. If you'll remember, the Hyde Amendment from 1976 prohibited federal funding of abortions. During the debate of Obamacare, the House members, led by Ppaca, were opposed to Obamacare's funding. Obama promised an executive order prohibiting abortion, and so Ppaca's holdouts caved in, and Obama's promise, of course, proved worthless, and abortions are now federally funded. Here's the four-block world. Prenatal care, if you have a birth defect, abortion. Pediatric care, if you're crippled, euthanasia. Geriatric care, too old, too sick, death with dignity. That's how Obamacare is going to save money. Here's the official pace car of Obamacare. So Obamacare is hostile to liberty. Consider, for example, the individual mandate. It requires or forces you as an individual to purchase something, health insurance, whether you want to or not. It comes from a twisted interpretation of the Commerce Clause. If they can order you to do this, in other words, purchase health insurance, the federal government can literally order you to do anything. Obamacare will make you prisoners if you don't obey. Obey Obamacare or join these men. More hostility to liberty. Business mandates. Businesses with over 50 employees are forced to buy insurance or drop employee health insurance and pay fines. The CBO estimated in February of 2011 that 800,000 jobs would be lost because of this mandate. The Heritage Foundation estimates, after paying the new health premiums, the minimum wage, the payroll taxes, unemployment insurance taxes, etc., that hiring a full-time worker will cost employers at least $10.03 per hour. Full-time workers with family health plans will cost $13.75 per hour. Health insurance exchanges. More attacks on liberty. A health insurance exchange is a set of state-regulated and standardized healthcare plans. The whole goal of this is the regulatory death of 1,000 cuts for private health insurance plans. Because of arbitrary benefit mandates in Obamacare, private insurance is going to become more and more expensive, and then finally impossible for any company to offer or any employer to pay for. For example, guaranteed issue. The insurance company has to issue your insurance whether you have a pre-existing condition or not. It sounds like a good idea initially, but then when you think about it, it's like being able to buy insurance once your house is on fire. What company could stay in business if they were forced to do that? Contraception and abortion are mandatory with these benefit mandates, but not prostate screening or mammograms. Here, for example, is a young lady who wants her contraceptives covered at somebody else's expense. Companies are no longer able to underwrite based on risk, so people that pay the premiums subsidize the worst behavior for other people. You end up eventually, if you can still get private insurance, with one-size-fits-all coverage with monstrous premiums. Employers will simply find it cheaper to drop employee coverage and pay the penalty. Basically, the goal, indirectly, is to destroy the private market for health insurance. So much for the president's promise: if you like your plan, you can keep it. Finally, we have a tax on private property. 21 new or increased taxes and penalties in Obamacare. There's the 10% tanning tax. There's the $750 penalty for the uninsured. That's the individual penalty. 2.9% tax on medical devices such as pacemakers. Obamacare is actually Obama tax. This is not a health care bill. It is a massive tax bill, among other things. More attacks on private property. $2.3 billion tax on drug companies. An $8 billion tax on insurance companies. 23.8% capital gains tax, not 15% as formerly, an increase of 59%. Well, you might say, who cares about capital gains tax? That's for rich people that own stock. But wait a minute. What about if you own a house? What if you want to sell that house eventually? Oops, there's the capital gains tax. 59% increase on the sale of a house, the tax levied on it. There's the 40% tax on Cadillac plans, but unions are exempt. And there's 16,500 new IRS agents. This is a healthcare bill? Nope, it's a tax bill. And there's a hike in the Medicare payroll tax from 2.9% to 3.8%. It's estimated $1 trillion in new taxes and penalties in the first 10 years. Insane spending. All spending must be paid back eventually. So the spending will translate into either increased taxes or reduced benefits eventually. The latest cost estimate is $2 trillion in spending. Here, for example, is the Medicare spending that Obamacare will result in. $118 billion in new costs over 10 years to the states, chiefly Medicaid. Look at Texas, Virginia, Georgia, Montana, Nevada. Ooh, wouldn't want to live in one of those states when the tax bill comes due. The tax on private property continued. Subsidies for people up to 400% of the federal poverty level. For a four-person family, this would be an income of $89,000 through refundable tax credits, even if you don't pay taxes. It's estimated $700 billion will be added to the deficit over 10 years, and of course this is constantly being revised upward, just as it was for other federal programs that were supposedly cheap at first, like Medicare, Medicaid. Soak the seniors. The per-person Medicare insurance premium will increase from the present monthly fee of $104 to $120 in 2013, and curiously enough, in 2014, after elections, $247. Massive corruption, Chicago style. Thousands of waivers. Unions, huge corporations, state and local governments get waivers. Even though waivers are not even part of the original law, they're just being granted arbitrarily. Interestingly enough, Nancy Pelosi's district got a waiver, and the entire states of Nevada, New Hampshire, and Maine. Harry Reid's home state of Nevada. Then there's the Cornhusker kickback in Nebraska and the Louisiana Purchase, just to get votes for this bill. Double standards. President Obama, if the health care reform plan is so great, why does it exempt you, Michelle, Congress, senators, and their families? Oh, by the way, Muslims are also exempt. Isn't that interesting? The final nail in the coffin, the Obama effect. War on the private sector leads to lost jobs, lost insurance, and more uninsured. The war on medicine leads to Obamacare, lost insurance, more uninsured. The war on national sovereignty, open borders, flood of illegal aliens, even more uninsured. So, 2008, about 15% uninsured. 2012, over 17% uninsured. Likely to go higher. The bottom line is tweaking is unacceptable. The whole law must go if we are to retain our American tradition of personal responsibility, individual liberty, prosperity. This law fundamentally changes the relationship between the citizen and the state. The citizen is no longer a citizen but a subject, and the state is the master unless we repeal Obamacare.